Hi everybody, it's Janet with Fruit of the Vine Art Studio, and it's Wednesday at 8 p.m. in the month of July. So that means it's time for Vacation Bible School. Tonight is episode 2. Oh, let me look down here real quick and pull this up just so I can see you real quick here. There we go, that's better. That way when you pop on, I would love it if you would comment, let me know where you're watching from. Say hi, say something. I'd really appreciate just some comments or something like that, guys. Facebook seems to advance things that others comment on or that others like and share. So I would really like to try to get the word out. I would love to share the Vacation Bible School. And so I would appreciate it if you'd take a moment to just share it with me and try to drum up some people to watch it with us and to paint with us tonight. Anyway, it is Wednesday, and tonight it's episode 2, and we are going to tell the story of Ruth and Naomi. Now, I hope you've printed your template out. I've got mine on my canvas board. Here's my actual template right here. Now, how do I get my template that I printed out from my printer? How do I get that from my paper onto my canvas? I've had a lot of people ask that question. Well, how do I put it on my canvas after I print that out? Well, what I do with mine is this is just regular copy paper. I've printed it out, and I flip it over, and I take a pencil, and I rub on the back of it, all over on the back of it. Then I take, and I put the pencil side on top of my canvas, just like that, on top of the canvas. And I take an ink pen, and I draw over top of every single line that's on there with my pen. I just go over every single line on there. And what it does is it creates a transfer, a graphite transfer that goes on to there. And then I just take my marker and I go over top of the pencil drawing that's on there at that point. So that's how you transfer this template that I put out each week. That's how you transfer that onto a piece of canvas. But you don't have to do that. You can just print it out, and you can use your crayons, you can use your markers, you can use colored pencils, you can do anything you want. You can watercolor it, just as long as you take some time to sit down and enjoy the story and do the craft. That's the main thing that's important. It doesn't matter whether you got it on a canvas or whether you painted at all. It's just hearing the story, spending some time together, and doing a craft together. That's what we're all about tonight. Anyway, so let's get on with our story. This story actually is just loaded with life lessons. It teaches about the importance of being at the right place, being ready for change, having hope, being determined, being generous and kind, having integrity, using wisdom and strategy. The list is endless. In this story, we're going to talk about some of the women in the Old Testament. There's so many men who we talk about in the Bible, and there's warriors and heroes, and sometimes we just forget to talk about the important lessons that we can learn from the stories about the women. Now, this story focuses on loyalty, integrity, and friendship. 3 very important things in life. In this story, you're going to hear about a woman who follows her heart with integrity. What is integrity? Well, it means that you do the right thing regardless of whether anybody's looking or not, that you are an honest person and you try to do the right thing. It means you have a strong moral value, that you do what you say you're going to do, that you can be trusted. Having integrity and being honest and loyal can increase your influence with others, and they will trust you and be more willing to help you or be friends with you. Looks like it paused for a second there. I looked over at my computer. Okay, well, anyway, we're going back to this. Now, this story also focuses on loyalty. I'm trying to keep an eye on that over there to make sure that we're actually online and live at the moment. I think so. What does it mean to be a loyal friend? Well, someone who is loyal is reliable, and they're always true, like a trusty dog. It's like if you have a friend named Farmer Jones and they sell milk. Well, you would only buy your milk from your friend, Farmer Jones. That's what makes you a loyal customer for his business. It makes you a loyal friend to Farmer Jones. It means that you're loyal and you're devoted to someone or something. So okay, I'm going to tilt you down. We're going to get started and get painting. I'm going to get on with the story instead of talking any longer. I know we're excited to get going with this story, the story of Ruth and Naomi. I'm going to tilt this down here, flip my canvas around so that you can see it. Let me pull this out of the way there. All right. Yes, a real friend. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you, Sherry. A real friend is best to have in life's journey. That is so true. A real friend, a true loyal friend is very important in life's journey. If you've got yourself some friends, you've truly been blessed. That's true. That is true. Okay, so let's tilt this down and we're going to tell the story. So here we go. Now, I hope you can see it. Let me look over here at the computer. Make sure you guys are angled right here. Yeah, you see a whole bunch of my junk, don't you? Well, there's always a bunch of junk here. That's true. You can see this, though, and that's the important thing. Let me move all of my paintbrushes and stuff out of the way and move this little piece of background paper. There we go. Okay, so now what I'm going to do... Oh, I wanted to tell you, too. Don't forget to join me next week. Last week, we did this one. Last week was the story of 3 faithful men. That was Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego. And there you see them in the burning fiery furnace. That was a really exciting story. If you didn't get a chance to hear that one, you can always go back and check under the video section on the page and look for the Vacation Bible School story series. And you'll find this story in there. It's Season 2, Episode 1, 3 Faithful Men. So that was last week, and next week we are going to be telling the story of Samson and Delilah. So tomorrow morning I'm going to post this template. You'll have all week to get it printed and either transfer it onto something or just paint it on whatever you print it out on and be ready to go next Wednesday at 8 p.m. and we'll tell the story of Samson and Delilah. That's a really great story too. I think you guys will truly enjoy that. Okay, let me grab myself a plate to get started on over here, and I'm going to move this out of the way because I don't want to get paint on next week's template. All right. So, what colors am I going to be using for this? Well, I've got quite a few different ones picked out, and you do not have to use the same colors that I use at all. You can use any colors that you want, do it any way that you'd like. But I'm going to be using a little bit of gold. I've got some King's Gold out here. I'm going to use some brown. I've got nutmeg. I'm going to be using some sky blue or pale blue. A little bit of yellow. A little bit of red. A little bit of green. And that's probably going to be it. Well, some black and some white for highlights and so forth. I expect to be using, I'll be using a 1-inch flat brush. And a couple of liner brushes, and I may get out my number 6. We may use that. I probably will use that now that actually when I look at this, I may not use this very much because that'll be mainly just back here for the background areas. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to paint the sky area here a nice light blue. So to do that, I think I'm just going to use this nice little round brush here, this number 2. I'm going to get out my sky blue, and I'm going to add just a little bit of water to it. Now, why am I putting the water in it? Because I'd actually like it to be just a little bit thinned down so that once I'm painting, I can still actually see back here behind it and see through to my clouds and my sun back there in the background. I don't want it to completely cover it. If you look, you'll see I only did that in pencil back there. A lot of times when you use marker, it's very hard to cover in the sky and in the sun. So for my sky areas, I generally just use little pencils. So anyway, I'm just going to dip my brush right into the water, just knock a little bit of the water off and water this down just a smidgen, not very much at all. And I'm going to go ahead and paint this background in the sky here. And it doesn't have to look thick. It's fine that it's thin looking. I kind of like that look. That makes the sky actually look a little more believable, honestly, or at least in my opinion, it makes the sky look a little bit more believable. And I'm just going to go right over where my clouds are. I'm not going to worry about that. I am going to try to just go around this little area of the sun here. I'd kind of like to protect that and keep that about leave it as blank as possible, so that when I add the colors to the sun, they will be very, very bright, and it will look really pretty in the background. Now you can see the sun setting, so I could do a sunset background. If you'd like to do a sunset background on yours, go right ahead. You might want to use a little bit of red. You might want to use a little bit of orange in the sky. Purple always looks good as the sun goes down towards the top, but you want to make it a little bit of blue down towards the bottom area here. Okay, so now, anyway, what I'm supposed to be doing at this point is telling you guys the story. So, let's get on with that. In this story, this is the story of a lady that's named Naomi. And Naomi grew up in the Promised Land. She lived in Israel. She lived in a town by the name of Bethlehem. I'm pretty sure you've heard of Bethlehem. It's kind of a place that we've all heard a little bit about, I'm pretty sure. So she was born in the town of Bethlehem. Now, she married a man whose name was Elimelech. And her and Elimelech were married, and everything was going fine. They had 2 wonderful sons, and their sons were named Milan and Kilion. I believe it was Kilion, or Kilion, something along that. It sounded sort of like that. They were a little bit different sounding names. Anyway, they were really happy until they had to move. And the reason that they had to move was because there was a famine in Israel. And there was little food to be found. And they needed to take care of their family. So they had to move to another country, and that was the country of Moab. I'm going to go ahead and paint her robe this sky blue while we're at it. Anyway, they moved to the country of Moab, because at that time, there was plenty of food to be found in Moab. But this was also very, very far away from Israel. Now, things were going pretty good soon after they arrived. Things were going all right, but then Elimelech died. Naomi's husband. He died. That was very, very sad and tragic for the family. Naomi and her 2 sons, they stayed in Moab. Even after the death of her husband, they continued to stay there. Eventually, the sons grew up, and they married 2 girls from Moab. And their names were Ruth and Orpah. Now, Ruth and Orpah weren't just ordinary girls. They were sisters. And not only that, even more amazing than that, they were both princesses. Their father was the king of Moab, and his name was King Eglon. And although they were both princesses and they were sisters, they were really very different than each other. But the one thing that they had in common was they both loved their husbands. They loved their husbands very much. Now, after about 10 years, another tragedy struck, and both of Naomi's sons died. Horrible thing to happen to the poor woman. First her husband, and then both of her sons. Now, this made Naomi a very, very sad woman. But at least she still had her 2 daughter-in-laws, Ruth and Orpah, to keep her company. But Naomi, by this time, she was tired of being in Moab. And she really, really longed to go back home to Bethlehem. She was lonely for her family. She wanted to go. So one day, she called her sons' wives into her, and to where she was. And she said, Ruth, Orpah, I'm going to go back to where I used to live. And I would like for you to also go back to your family and where you used to live. And may God show you kindness as you've shown me. Now, when Naomi said this, it just broke the daughter-in-law's hearts. She was their mother-in-law, and they loved her very much. They did love her very much. They didn't want her to go. So they begged her, and they asked, "Can we go with you, please? Can take us with you?" And Naomi said, I left Bethlehem with a husband and 2 sons, full of life, and the Lord's sending me back home again without him. He's sending me home empty. The Lord has dealt very bitterly with me. When she said this, it broke their hearts. They loved Naomi. They didn't want her to go. Finally, after much crying, Orpah didn't want to leave Naomi, but Naomi told her, "Don't worry. She would be fine. She would be fine." So Orpah did return to her family, but no matter what Naomi said, Ruth would not leave her because she loved her mother-in-law so much. Ruth was a caring and courageous woman who made decisions that changed her life and the lives of others. Where you go, I will go. Where you live, I will live. Your people shall be my people, and your God my God, she told Naomi. So Ruth went with Naomi to Bethlehem. Okay, so now we've got Ruth's her robes painted, and we've got the sky painted the blue. Now we're going to add a little bit of green. Now, it was a good thing that Ruth went with Naomi because Bethlehem was really far away, and Naomi wasn't young anymore. She was an older woman. And she couldn't travel that far all alone. So after several weeks, finally they arrived. I'm going to paint the mountains this green back here. After several weeks, finally they arrived in Bethlehem. When they got there, Ruth decided that she had to do some kind of work to get some food, and it was harvest time. And Ruth said, well, she said to Naomi, "I want to go and glean after the reapers." Now, I don't know if you know what that means. I'm going to go glean after the reapers. What does that mean? Well, gleaners picked up the leftover grain or the corn that's left like this in the fields. After the reaper, also called a harvester, after the reaper has gone through and picked all the corn or the grain or the barley or the wheat off of the stalk, then the gleaner comes along and picks up all the stuff that's left on the ground below, and after the harvester has already cleaned the field. Okay? So what she was asking to do was she was wanting to go see if there was any grain or any corn left on the ground for them to eat, because she needed to do something to bring them food. And Ruth was still young, but Naomi was just a little too old to get out and do that kind of stuff. So Ruth went out to do that, to glean in the fields. Okay, she was going to go pick up the leftover grain, barley, corn, whatever was going to be in harvest at that time. She wanted to go work in the fields. Now, Naomi saw that Ruth had made up her mind, and once Ruth made up her mind about something, she was going to follow Naomi all the way back. She was going to leave her family. She was going to leave everything she ever knew, her homeland. She was leaving it all to go back with Naomi. When Ruth made up her mind to do something, she was going to do it. So Naomi knew that Ruth was going to go glean the fields. So she said, okay. So Ruth started working in the fields, and she followed behind the harvesters, and she picked up any grain or corn that was dropped. Now, Ruth didn't know it, But the field that she had been working in, it belonged to a rich man, and his name was Boaz. There he is standing back here in the field. That's Boaz. Now, Ruth didn't know it, but Boaz watched her, and he saw what she was doing. And he was sort of like supervised. He watched over what was going on in the field, and he said, when he saw her out there in the field, why, he fell in love with her at once. Just at once. And he asked one of the harvesters, who is she? Who is that young girl out there? And they told him that she had came back from Moab with Naomi. That's all that they knew. Well, lucky for Ruth. What else was I going to paint green here? I was looking for it. Okay, well, I know I'm going to paint this back here. This back here is going to be tan color. So I'm just going to leave the green out for right now, and we'll get out the tan. Anyway, lucky for Ruth, the owner of the field, Boaz, he was a really kind man, and he believed in God. Now I'm just getting out the sunset gold. Boaz believed in God. And he told his workers that he wanted to help Ruth. He wanted to help her gather that fallen grain. And Boaz was so pleased to learn that she was Naomi's daughter-in-law, because he was a relative of Naomi's. I'm going to get this right here, and I'm going to use... Wait a minute, I want to do a little bit of brown too, don't I? I'm going to get a little bit of brown first. I know what else I was going to paint green now. I'm getting too busy telling you the story and forgetting what I was planning on doing here and planning on doing there. Okay, anyway, what I was going to paint green was these other two little fields next to where she's at. Right in here, this is going to be just a green color right in here. Anyway, this is a little field that's next to where she's gleaning at. She's out here gleaning in the field. You've heard the song, Bringing in the Sheaves? Well, that's kind of what she's doing. She's down there in the sheaves, these little pieces, these little leaves and sheaves and stuff that come off of the wheat and the barley. She's down there bringing in the sheaves. She's going to bring in some sheaves for her and Naomi to eat, because they're hungry. They have no way, no means to take care of themselves. They're here back in Bethlehem, and they have no husbands, no one to take care of them. So they're out trying to get themselves some food by going out and gleaning in the fields and getting some little pieces and scraps that are left over. Now, Boaz, he was so happy when he learned that Naomi was the daughter-in-law, because he happened to be a relative of Naomi's. And he just wanted to help them. He wanted to help Ruth and Naomi. So Boaz, he went and he talked to Ruth, and he said to her, he said, don't go work in any other field, but stay here with the other servant girls, and I'll make sure that you're safe and that no one bothers you. Whenever you get thirsty, you're more than welcome to go and get you a drink from my watering jars. I want you to feel comfortable here. You're welcome to take as much as you need. And he even told his workers to leave a little extra more for her. And he even allowed her to get up in the fields and where they were doing the pulling of the stalks and so forth. He allowed Ruth to get that far up into the fields. He wanted to make sure that her and Naomi were taken care of. He was a kind and loving man. Now we're going to add just a little bit of brown to that green and make it just a little bit darker green. See, I'm getting it there, just a little bit of a darker green. And then we're just going to kind of smoosh that in right back here. Just right back here along this row, right behind where this is. Just smoosh in some of that brownish green. And that'll just kind of make it look like a little row of trees sitting back here behind where they're at, back there by the mountain range. See the little trees back there now, and all you did was just sort of smooshed in a line. That's all it is, just a line of green paint. Greenish brown paint, a little bit more brown on that spot. Boopity boopity boop. I'm going to get a little more green on that spot now. I just mushed him up. I'm going to mix that in. See, there are no mistakes. We can bring a little brown into it, and we're just going to pull it across the top here, just like that. Bring it along the bottom right there. It's okay. It doesn't hurt nothing. Make some of them a little taller. There we go. Good enough. Okay, back to our story. He said, I'm going to make sure that you're safe and that you can go and get you a drink. You're more than welcome to do those things. Now, when Ruth heard this, she bowed down and she asked, Why? Why are you being so nice to me? I'm not even from around here. Hey, Carol. I just happened to look up and see that you had said, Hey, Janet. Hi, Carol. Thanks for joining us tonight. She looked up and she said, Why are you being so nice to me, Boaz? I'm not even from around here. And he said, Well, I know what you've done for Naomi. She is my family. You left your family and you moved to this place where you've never been because you cared for her. And may the Lord reward you for your kindness. That was a very nice thing of him to say. Now I'm going to use my brown. I'm going to water it down. And I'm going to paint the field area back here. And I just want it to be a thin brown because I'm going to be adding some gold to it too. And these little pieces I'm going to leave. I'm going to put like a brown line right through the middle. Not all of it, just through this middle area here. A little bit of brown in here. A little bit of brown down through here. Don't want to hit her with it, dear. I'm just adding a little bit of brown to it. It's thinned down. And then we're going to add some gold to that. I'm just trying to get a little bit of a darker base here in between where the rows are. Just working it a little bit. I'm just going to kind of drag it across very lightly, very quickly. I'm just kind of dragging it over, kind of giving it a hump kind of look is what the whole idea is there. Is you're going to bring it across. Sort of like that there. It's thinned down. Going to make it a little bit thinner, just a wee bit thinner. And I'm going to do the same thing right through here. Down to the corner. Right in here. Now I'm getting off the story, aren't I? But that's okay. This story's getting close to the end. Anyway, now we've got young Ruth out here in the fields. She's out here getting the sheaves, picking up what's left. She's friends with Boaz now. He's told her that he wants to take care of her. He wants the Lord to bless her. He knows what's going on with Naomi. Now, Ruth thanked Boaz, and she went right back out, and she continued working in that hot sun. Boaz, he really grew to love her, watching her, she working like that. Now, Ruth continued to glean from the fields all through the corn, the barley, and the wheat harvest. So she was out there quite a long time, gleaning in the fields, getting food for her and Naomi. When she found out that she was related to the rich man, she didn't just give up and wait for him to come take care of them. She knew better than that. That she knew that their well-being was her own responsibility. So she kept going out and doing what she knew she had to do. She had to go do the right thing. She went out and did the work, did what was needed to be done for her and her family to survive. She was a good woman. Okay, so even after that, she is out there working in that field. She worked hard every day until dark just so that she could provide for Naomi. And Boaz made sure that his workers allowed Ruth to gather more than she could have. They were all very, very kind to Ruth. Now, eventually, Ruth grew to love that very kind man. And one day, they actually even ended up getting married. Now, it wasn't very long after that Ruth, had a baby. And the baby's name was Obed. Now, if you've never heard of Obed, when Obed grew up, when that baby grew up, he had a grandson, and his grandson was named David. And David became the king of Israel. So Obed was David's grandfather. So actually, the story of Ruth, God had blessed Ruth and Naomi both with a brand new family. Now, if you follow the lineage of that family, you're going to see that Jesus is born many years later from the start of this little family. So the story of Ruth and Naomi is a very important story in the Bible. It really is, guys. Because Ruth followed her heart and she went with Naomi to Bethlehem, her influence on others increased, and they knew that she was a good and loyal friend to Naomi. Instead of looking down on her as a stranger from a foreign land, the people of Bethlehem noticed her, and they admired her. I'm going to pull this right along through here. Now, this week we've learned about being a good friend. Being a good friend, that takes a long time to learn. What makes a good friend? I'm going to move right into my gold now, guys. Just go straight into the gold. And I'm just going to bring it right on top of it. Right on top of that brown, I'm just going to put the gold in. To cover the field. And then you can see where the gleaning goes on right there. See that? What makes a good friend? A good friend is loyal, which means that you keep your promises. And sometimes even if you don't feel like being a good friend, you do it anyway, because that's what good friends do. What else is being a good friend? Sometimes our friends aren't perfect, and they make a mistake. But sometimes we make mistakes too. We don't want to lose a friend over making a mistake. That's for sure. God gives us friends when we need them, and we should treat them like they're a gift. Because you know what? They really are a gift. They're a gift from God. Friends are a gift from God. Just like in this story, Naomi could have insisted that the women come with her. But she was an unselfish woman. She let them make a choice. She wanted them to be free to go and be with their families. And then Ruth had such a good attitude. She wanted to be helpful. She moved away from everybody and everyone she'd ever known, and she went to work to help her mother-in-law, Naomi. So Ruth was a very good woman. A very good friend. Uh-oh. Coco's over here knocking stuff over. She's freaking out and running around. I don't know what you're doing, puppy. What'd you do? What'd you knock over? Poor puppy dog. I think that scared her pretty good there. Kind of scared me too. I wasn't sure what she was doing. I'm just kind of dragging that over there in the field. We're kind of making it look that way there. Now, God gives us friends so we can support and love each other, guys. That's what friends are for. Sometimes our friendships might change, but God's commitment to us never changes. God's promises to us never change. God stands on his promises, and he does what he says. We need to love and support our friends without expecting anything in return from them. Being a good friend takes a lot of work. Ruth and Naomi are very good examples of how we should treat each other. How friends should be for each other. How families should behave for each other. Alright, I'm just going to try to get this colored in around her feet without making too much of a mess. I'm going to have to go back and put a little bit of extra work into the sheaths down here. We're going to have to clean them off a little bit. Let me try that. Just try dragging a little bit of that right in through there where they're at so that they show up a little bit better right there. I don't know if they show up better or not. I'm going to turn this around so I can kind of see what I'm doing, guys. Got to talking here. I didn't get the ones in her hands. I got to get those too. Those got to be colored in. She's holding her a handful of them, and she's got her a little basket on the other side of her that's filled with little sheaths that she's picked up. I'm just filling this in at this point. Now we got a couple of little birds back here. We don't want to fill them in. We're going to paint them with a little bit of red, or you can make your birds any color you want, honestly. I'm going to lighten that up just a little bit right in here so that you can see the sheaths in the background, and I'm going to drag it this way so that you can see the mound of the dirt. There we go, just like that. Alright, I need to water this down just a little bit. Across back here pretty quickly just to kind of fill it in, and then I will do some individual areas to give it more of a textured look to it. Just trying to fill in a large area very, very quickly. And then I'm going to go around this little bird. I'm not too worried about that piece of barley in his mouth. What do you think she's got here? Barley, wheat, corn. It's not corn, we know that. We can tell that very quickly, can't we? It's not corn. She's not got corn. Another little bird back here. And we're just going to kind of bring this across up here. I'm just going to fill that in pretty quick. I'm not going to be too worried about that either, because he's going to get some skin tone color, so that's alright too. The sheaths in the basket and all of this right here is going to be the golden color. Just filling this in all the way right here with the gold. I'm going to bring it up right in here. Give me a little more water, just a drop. Hope you guys enjoyed that story. As you know, these are stories from the Bible, so that can be found in the Bible, and I bet you can't guess what book that is. That was from the Book of Ruth. That's right, the Book of Ruth. In the Bible. That's where that story came from tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. I thought it was a really nice story. It illustrates friendship, loyalty, integrity. It's got so many good little things to it that it's a wonderful story. And I wanted to share it with you. Now, next week's going to be Samson and Delilah. I'm sure you've heard that story before. That's also a great story about a man with strength. Amazing strength. I think you'll enjoy that too. Okay, so now we've got the field kind of filled in back here with the sheaths and all that stuff back here. You don't have to worry about it too much. We can just get some of the brown on the tip of there and just sort of, you know, get it in spots and just put a little bit in areas and fill it in just a wee bit. you know, it's going to be more of a golden color than it is brown, but we just kind of want to make it stand out a little bit. The leaves could be a little brown looking, just to stand out a little bit, being out here in the field. I'm just going to kind of dot the brown a little bit along through here to show little bits and pieces of stuff that might still be out here that she's gleaning from. That's what she's doing out here, gleaning. So we're going to just make a little bits of brown going down in between them, just kind of dabbing it very lightly with my paintbrush, straight up and down, just dabbing it lightly, going down through the ground area here, using the brown. And when you get to here, we'll put a little bit of brown in the sheaths that she's got in her basket. Alright, just a little dibbity dabs down through here, a little bit. Some of this in through here. We'll put little spots in, a little bit of brown in the leaves. Down here on the stems a little bit that she's holding in her hand. I'm not trying to make them exact. I'm just making just indications of stuff there so that you can just see that she's out here in the fields finding things and getting little bits of stuff to take with her. It's sort of just indication is really what we're making. An indication of what would be found out there in the field that Ruth might take with her. And I want it to still be kind of light because I want you to be able to see through it, but I want it to be dark enough to make it noticeably different. So I'm kind of taking my finger a little bit and just kind of picking up a little bit of the paint, but still leaving a little bit of the brown on the top of it to kind of give it that look. Just a little bit. There we go. Just kind of, you don't want them to look like just little brown blobs, but you still want it to have a little bit of a different shaded color to it. So I'm just kind of picking it up with my finger to kind of just make it look a little darker, a little different, but not too dark. Just kind of take this and go straight on up through here. Just kind of dabbing it along, straight up through there. A little bit down here by his feet. Just a couple more. Maybe come over that way. Now another little thing we can do to make it show up a little bit better back here is we can take the brown and just go across the top of the humps, the field back there, just like that, just kind of bringing it along around the top and down the side a little bit, coming down right through here. It's not going to hurt that grass in the least. Just kind of bring it right along the edge, right back here by Boaz. Okay, so now we've kind of got that done there. It's sort of kind of a pale looking thing, isn't it? It's sort of, need to get some colors going in here, get some brightness to it. Okay, well, before we get started with that, though, I'm going to do a little bit of yellow sun. So now you can use your gold color if you want. You do not have to do yellow. You can just use your gold that you've already got out. That's perfectly fine. I've got a little bit of bright yellow, so I'm just going to put that right back in here for the sun. And then I think I'm going to take some gold. I really didn't even need that yellow at all. That was just something to get out, I guess. Just some other colors to use, guys. Some other colors to use. And I'm going to bring the gold right around the outside of it here. Just like that. And I think I'm going to get my little brush. And just kind of bring it out and give it those little peaks. Just kind of bringing it along there. I think my paint's getting a little thick. It's warm up here tonight. Don't know about where you're at, but we're having some... It's been such weird weather. It's like it's the weirdest summer ever. It's not really hot enough, and then it'll be rainy every day, and I guess, I don't know, I guess it's hurricane season. I should know that in hurricane season it always affects everything all the way up to Ohio. Insanity, huh? I guess it's everywhere, though. Okay, so now we've got a pretty little sun back there in the background. I'm not too crazy about that, but it'll do. It's good enough for right now. We're going to leave that be. And we're going to paint with this little brush. We're just going to give them some brown sandals. Take care of her shoes here, huh? There we go, and right inside of that area in between where her little toes are. There we go. And right here. Around right there, just fill in her feet. Right by her toes, right there. Here, Boaz got some shoes on too. Let's go ahead and hit his up while we're at it. So I like these little brushes for stuff like that. These templates that I made here for you are pretty small. Some of the detail is a little intricate, and I wasn't thinking about that for kids being so small. I'm sorry. Please use your crayons on it or a pencil. You can get it all colored in, I know. And it's going to look great when you get it done any way you look at it. It doesn't matter. Okay, so while we're working on brown, we're going to go ahead and fill in Boaz's beard. Give him a brown beard here. I'm trying to use less colors. Actually, I'm trying not to get out all the colors. I'm trying to use less colors. See if we can't make paintings using less different shades of colors so that it's easier. You don't need as many colors out. It makes it easier for you. Okay, so he's got a big old smile on his face. He's a happy guy. Here, we'll give her some brown hair. She got a little bit of hair sticking out right in here. Right there. We'll give her some pretty brown eyes. There we go. Now she got some pretty brown eyes. And let's see. I think it's probably time to get out a little bit of red now. Ah! That lid was on there tight. Trying to use some less colors, and here I go getting out more, huh? Time for some red. That's all right. I'm going to add a little bit of red to her. Right in here. I'm going to give her a red belt to go with her pretty blue robe. A pretty blue garment. It's not a robe, it's a garment. And we're going to make some sections on her headdress here that are red. And that would go right to there, right over to here. Get a little more, make it over here. Let's get that one and come up to here. Right there. This one right here. One right at the top of her head. Oop, got a little too much of the red, didn't I? That's all right. We'll just bring it right inside. Make this a little thicker down here. I gotta spread that out a little bit. Here, let's put it right here. There now. Just put a little bit thicker red on there because that doesn't dry very thick. It's sort of a thin red, I think. And then she's got her headdress coming down right over here on the other side of her. You can see it. Right there. There we go. Now Boaz, we're going to go ahead and give him a red robe. And I think to do that, though, I'm going to use my other brush so it'll go on a little smoother and quicker. What was that? I got some kind of notifications going off there. I don't know. Okay, so we're just going to bring this in right here with the red. Give him a nice red robe. Seems to have gotten a little thin there. I want it to be a little bit thicker. There we go. We're going to trim his robe in gold, I think. He's not so rich that it's the sparkling gold like the king's kind of gold, but it could have a nice gold edging to it. Sash. And then we'll make his little tie red also. It holds it on his head. Maybe I'm going to use my other brush for that, I think, though. I think I'll use the other brush for that one, guys. That's getting a little small there. There we go, and then we'll just fill in his mouth while we're at it. He's a happy guy. Big smile on his face. There we go. Maybe we'll use this pretty yellow since I got that yellow out. That'd be the thing to do. We've already got that pretty yellow out. Let's just use that. See, you just never know what color I might make something. I don't know till I'm actually coloring it. I think about it as I'm doing it and then think, no, I think that might look better if I put these two together. You never know. He's wearing a nice, pretty yellow. Gives him that sunny, happy looking, huh? And this back here is just the back of his headdress hanging down. Just like that there. Okay, I'm going to turn it around. Am I getting it all out of... Yeah, kind of a little bit. We're going to make us a skin tone here in a second. And we're going to put some shading on her robe. Because it needs it, that's for sure. That pale blue is just so pale. Here we go, getting Boaz all fixed up back here. Now there was a little bit more to the story than what we told. That book is a very interesting story if you go to read it. I hope you enjoy it. Let me know what you think when you read it. Okay, so there, we've got that done now. So let's make a... oh, wait a minute. We never painted our birds, did we? Okay, let's make some red birds. I'm just going right into the red with this same brush. It's not going to hurt it. Make This bird, a pretty red bird here taking off. She's out there in the fields gleaning with the birds, and the birds are getting some scraps too. They're hungry too. We can mix us a little bit of red and yellow together and make us a smidge of orange and cover his little beak. We'll make another little red bird back here. There we go. Mix this right here together and make me some orange. Red and yellow. Put that right there. Give him an orange little beak. There we go. You too. Don't want to forget the other little bird, huh? Give him a little orange beak. He's got his little piece of barley too. Alright. Okay, so now we're going to make a little bit of skin tone. How are we going to do that? We're going to take our brown and a little bit of white. And that makes skin tones. You can make all the skin tones you need with brown and white. Just depends on how much you add to it. So. I'm just mixing a little bit right here. Just mixing some brown and white. You can see my... I used this when I did some coffee filters, and I tie-dyed the coffee filters. I let the red coffee filters dry on this. That's why the plate looks like that in the background. Okay. It looks alright. We're going to paint his feet. Ooh, it's a little thick. Paint his little feet back there and fill in his hands. I love these little bitty brushes. I'm pretty sure these are Craft Smarts, to tell you the truth, these little white brushes. Yeah, these are Craft Smart brushes that I got. A 2.6. They are very fine tip brushes, very nice little brushes. They come in a set of about 6 of them. And they're very nice. Alright, let's get his face filled in here. I'm just very lightly coloring him. There we go. Now he's colored in. Now let's work on her. Gave her a long toe there. That's all right. I'm going to add a little bit of clean water to that, thin that down, because that's just too thick. There, that should be better. Much better. Get it to where it's like not going on like it's like glue or something. It was very thick there. I was thinking, I can't even make that spread. But you don't want it to be so thin that it just starts running either. That's a problem too. You have to be careful when you add water. Just a small amount is all you need. Just going to color her hand in real quick here. You guys are still with me here. I appreciate it. I want you to know that. Next week will be another one. And then we've got one more at the end of the month. That'll be Queen Esther. And that will conclude our Vacation Bible School for this year. I'm having a lot of fun doing it. I really enjoy it. I really, truly do. I look forward to it. I'm having a good time getting the pictures together, working on the stories. And the stories now, I'm not writing them all myself. Obviously, they come from the Bible. I do rewrite it a little bit, but I don't try to embellish it or add to it or anything like that. I'm not trying to make it anything other than what it is. It's just a children's story, but it's also a story for us to try to understand and comprehend. And I want kids to know these stories. I always had so much fun in Vacation Bible School. I think of it, I mean, everybody that I know that went to Vacation Bible School still remembers going and how much fun they had. So I wanted this to be something that might be memorable, be fun, something that you enjoy and look forward to every July, just like I will. All right, now we're getting that on there. She's pretty much colored in. Need to do just a little bit of shading here on this blue gown. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add just a little bit of green, just the tiniest bit of green to the blue, just to get that to be a little bit of a different color blue for it. See, I'm getting it. That's the blue that it was, and here's the blue that I'm making. I'm trying to make it just a little bit different. And then that way we can, well, it's awful thick. Kind of put it on the inside of where she's rolled her sleeve up here. Ooh, I don't know. That might not be dark enough to show, is it? All right. How about we just get out another? I don't know, that's awfully dark. I don't want that blue. Too dark a blue. Oh no, that's dark blue too. All I got up here is the true navies and the dark blues, huh? Okay, well, we'll just mix a drop of that in there. Because I want it to be a little bit darker. I want it to show as a shading. Okay, I just got a little bit darker blue, actually, guys, is all I did. And I just mixed it in there with it. So, we're going to just put that on the inside of where she's rolled up her sleeve here. Need to water it down. There, that's better. Put it right along through there. Underneath her arm, right back through here. I'm kind of blending it along there. Up into her shoulder area a little bit. Down along her back. I'm just making some shading on her. Not really crazy about what it's doing, though, to tell you the truth. I'm not really liking that. I'm going to mix some more lighter blue over top of it when I get it going here. Okay, a little shading right in here where it's in between her knees. And a little back over here on this arm, back behind her. Okay, that's a little bit of shading. That's about all a little bit of shading I think I'm going to do to that. I'm not crazy about how that looks, so let's move this over here. And I'm just going to kind of blend it in a little bit better because I'm not real crazy about how that looks. So what I'm doing is I'm going back with the original blue and going back over it a little bit more, just to kind of work that shading in a little bit. It's a little bit watered down, but it'll still leave the darker coloring that you're going to see. It's just not going to be quite as stark looking. It looked very stark to me. I didn't really care for the way that that was shaded at all. That helps. Rub that right down through there. Just a little bit there. Should be a little darker right in here. So I'll just kind of pull it all over. Kind of scrubbing it in now. Okay, guys, I think we're kind of getting to the end of it at this point. I think we kind of got him colored up here. It's pretty well looking finished to me. I don't know what more I can really do to it. Oh, I do. I see what to do. She needs a... Let me get a drop of black. I see what to do. I see. I'm going to take this little bit of black right here. And we're going to give that bird an eyeball. Give that bird an eyeball. Boaz looks all right. I don't think I need to do too much to him. Here, let's... work on her. There we go. And then maybe one little spot of white right in the tip of that. Oh, we could put a few couple little clouds in too, can't we? Yeah, we didn't do that. Let me get just a drop of white to put in her eye. I can see just one little hair sticking out on that brush tip. I will use just that one little hair sticking out on that brush tip to do that with the white. That worked right there, huh? Oh, what was I thinking I needed to do? Oh, the clouds. Yes, to do the clouds. We're going to do some clouds. Put a couple of clouds in the background back here. Show you an easy way to do a cloud. We're going to just take a piece of paper towel. Kind of fold it up some. Dip it in the white. And then we'll just put it right in the painting using our paper towel. I do paper towel type things quite a bit, where you just use the paper towel itself to build something. Okay, so there we go. Kind of just smash them up a little bit. The more you smash it with the paper towel, the more of a cloud-like appearance it will get. Bring it over that way a little bit. There we we go. There we have it. 2 clouds in the sky now. Very easily done. We could put just a little bit of... Nope, you know, the more I mess, the more I mess. No need to mess. Let's sign it. Get a little more paint to sign it with. Alright guys, I wanted to do something to highlight the sheaves a little bit better, but I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm just going to leave them just the way they are. Just leave it the way it is. The more I mess with it, the more I keep messing. So, it's time to stop. I want you guys to know how much I appreciate you being with me tonight. Thank you, Sherry. I appreciate that. I appreciate you saying that it's nice. I appreciate that very much. Appreciate you guys being here. Thank you for joining me tonight. I will see you next Wednesday, where we will come back and do Samson and Delilah. I will see you there. I'll post the template tomorrow morning. You'll find the template online that you can print out so that you can be ready to paint. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you again soon. Bye.